Star Wars: Shadow of the Empire was a genre-spanning Star Wars project from the late 90s created with the intention of widening the Star Wars universe, re-establishing the IP in the collective zeitgeist, and making enough money to pay for George Lucas's mall food court chicky nuggies for the rest of his life. An incredibly ambitious project, Shadows of the Empire would tell a story set between The Empire Strikes Back and Return of the Jedi, across a novel, a comic series, and a video game. The video game, covering the exploits of space smuggler Dash Rendar, original character Do Not Steal, was one of the first titles developed for the Nintendo 64. LucasArts, at one point during development, invited Nintendo themselves to check out the progress on the title, and maybe provide some input. The game had been a struggle, to say the least. Upon seeing the work done, legendary game developer Shigeru Miyamoto asked LucasArts, mildly, "What does this have to do with anything?" "Well, less than usual, frankly. It's just a story I like. That being said, this is a story from a time when Nintendo was struggling to keep up. The Nintendo 64 didn't do so hot. Neither did its successor, the GameCube. But Nintendo pulled through. The reason they started struggling can be chalked up to many things. Some say it was Nintendo's inability to just fucking put a DVD drive in their console. Wait, no, not like that! Others say Nintendo continued to play to a younger demographic, while gaming's main demographic was aging. I say, however, that their struggles around this period can mostly be attributed to the fact that they were playing with the big boys now. Sega is a video game company. Sony is a massive and monstrous bloodstained technology conglomerate, as is Microsoft.
Fascinating.
Imagine going from competing against Sega to competing against fucking Microsoft. It's like you've spent your whole life slap fighting your little brother, and then you're thrown into the ring with Mike Tyson. Sega may give you a bruise. Microsoft will eat your ear. They will fuck you till you love them. But in the aftermath of Microsoft and Sony entering the ring, Nintendo had to compete on a level that had never been required before. And they just sort of didn't. Microsoft bought Rare. Nintendo made Luigi's Mansion. Sony, a big CD-ROM player manufacturer, makes a console that also plays CDs. Nintendo makes a machine committed 100% unwaveringly to Pokemon fucking Snap. Microsoft builds online gaming architecture. Nintendo makes bowling. Bowling? Bowling. Sorry, my producer's motioning towards me. Wait, what do you mean we have no money left? I made money last week. Oh, you're telling me life is just a series of weeks where you need to make money? I see. Well, I may not have much money left, but well, at least I know where to spend it. This video is sponsored by Temu. Have you ever thought to yourself, boy, would I like to own a thing right now? Well, then do I have the place for you. They've got things. They've got stuff. They've got items. You heard that right. Items! Temu is a marketplace like Amazon or that Dollar Tree that you pretend you don't buy your groceries at. It's the #1 free app on the App Store, and for good reason. The interface is easy to navigate. It's filled with exclusive deals, and you can track your orders with it. We definitely won't be seeing a better app until Cobbler finally launches. Cobbler, of course, is a dating app which exclusively matches Cobbler fans to DJ Peach Cobbler himself. That's right. Meet the sweaty weird nerd of your dreams with that hot new app. But not before things, look, stuff! I got a tank top, some shorts, a fancy mechanical keyboard, a headphone stand, and a soundbar because that was all I could think to buy. I don't go outside. I just sort of type things and I listen to them and I just sort of wear whatever is, The tank top and shorts are cheap, but very comfortable, and the mechanical keyboard is nice, bright, and clicky. That was my big concern, because I need a keyboard loud enough to make sure that my girlfriend will never sleep. And if you click on my link, you'll get access to this exclusive deal, these wireless Bluetooth headphones for less than $2. Free shipping, free returns for up to 90 days, great prices, great quality. Temu is a great place to find deeply discounted clothes, electronics, and all sorts of items at prices you won't believe. Just download the Temu app using the link in the description. New users can get 50% off at checkout by using discount code JOIN7277. Thank you, Temu, for sponsoring this video. Nintendo doesn't make sense. It exists without God's consent. They compete with massive technology conglomerates largely by not competing with them directly.
You can change the exercise intensity to suit your ability.
So what's the point? Why did you put up flyers all around the neighborhood for a free TED Talk, then took my phone and locked the door once I entered what is clearly your basement? Because you're a dirty little boy, and I must punish you, like my daddy punished me. Oh, no. Indeed. Only God will hear your screams. But before we get to that, I think it's important that we meditate upon Nintendo's new Zelda games. Because you see, these games do compete directly with Nintendo's peers. A Mario game basically competes with nothing. It almost exists in like a vacuum. There are no big AAA 3D platformers to compete with. But Zelda, now, takes design influences from Shadow of the Colossus and Skyrim and The Witcher 3. It's a big blowout game set in a massive world filled with things to discover. It's the equivalent of if they released Mario Warfare, a modern military FPS, during the aughts, like when that was the craze. Zelda's new direction is a direction that puts Nintendo right in the big boys' crosshairs. Well, I mean, framing Nintendo as some sort of scrappy underdog is obviously pretty stupid. But I see what you're saying. The new Zelda games take design influence from some of the biggest games of the past decade or so. And as a consequence, Zelda now competes with those titles. I'm sure Nintendo really shows the big boys how it's done, huh? No! I think Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom fall flat on their faces in the exploration department. I'm going to use a game that's over a decade old and now broadly hated to explain how they should have done it. Wow, you really like getting anthrax in the mail, huh? Listen, the guys that won't understand where I'm coming from with this probably bought Super Mario All-Stars, their opinions don't matter. Tears of the Kingdom is an open-world game which reuses the map of its predecessor. As a consequence of this, it's tainted with sin. I want to crucify it, just to teach it a fucking lesson. Rome fact. The Romans had a holiday where they crucified dogs on the anniversary of a time where the watchdogs failed to alert Rome to the presence of Gallic invaders. Instead, the geese did. On this holiday, they would treat the common geese of the city as kings. And much like how those dogs should not have suffered for the sins of their ancestors, neither should Nintendo. Nintendo took some of the petty cash they made from selling Mario Teach's enhanced interrogation techniques to add depth to the world. Literally, there's a subterranean part and an aerial part now. The aerial part is beautiful and has sort of a classical Greek aesthetic. It looks like Zeus's summer home. And Link in his little Greek outfit looks like Zeus's main squeeze. My issues start at the subterranean part, which forms the meat of the new offerings here. We all have those moments in games, right? The ones that stick with us. The boss that tortured us for weeks, that story moment that really dug down deep and hurt. My most recent moment like that was the Siofra River Well in Elden Ring.
10 years later.
Hiding big things underground. That's the good shit. That's an instant way to surprise the player. I'd do a GDC talk on the art of putting big shit underground if I had any qualifications whatsoever beyond knowing how to use DaVinci Resolve and having an Adderall prescription like my peers. How many ancient underground cities exist in real life? 0. But how often do humans write about ancient underground cities? Constantly. We love them. They sound awesome. And in the case of Skyrim, you can stumble into Blackreach by just stumbling into Septimus Cygnus, a crazy old scholar in the frozen far north of Skyrim. The sequence of events which take you to this massive ancient underground city starts with just an old man telling you to go to a dwarven ruin. Then, boom. the city hits you. It's all about the reveal. Furthermore, Blackreach's and Elden Ring's underground locations are beautiful. They're some of the best looking locations in both games. But the broader point is, you stumble into them without realizing what you've done. It's literally the structure of a joke. I heard a joke once, so they go like this. Setup, I wonder where this goes. Punchline, ancient, beautiful, and mysterious city. Look at this elevator. I wonder where it goes. Probably a big wet cave. It's a well, after all. Look at this big random ice hole in the desolate far north of Skyrim. I wonder what's in it. Oh, I'm sure it's just a chest or something. Surely it does not contain a crazy old man trying to transcribe an ancient Dwemer device which will send me to an innocuous-looking dwarven ruin that will end in a massive underground ancient city which contains an artificial sun which you can turn into a dragon by shooting with an arrow. Look at this big evil-looking hole. Where does it go? Probably a big evil underground place. Fucking look at it. Like, where do you think this goes? There's no surprise. There's no discovery. It's the dead dove do not eat of open world design. Tears of the Kingdom has a massive underground map. It forms the largest portion of the new content, but it lacks that structure to its reveal, as well as, frankly, the striking art design. It's shrouded in darkness, and you need to use items to remove it, but once you do, it's still pretty underwhelming. Which is a real disappointment, considering the gorgeous anime-inspired art style of the broader game. Oh wait, when I say anime, I should clarify, I'm talking about the work of Studio Ghibli. Zelda's art style, thankfully, does not take influence from all the dumb shit that you like, because it is garbage. Thank God. Regardless, the reveal of the underground area doesn't play with your preconceptions, is my point. And I have a serious fondness for getting mind-fucked by game developers. But there was something in this game that did totally blindside me. Since most of the game's world is just Breath of the Wild's old map or an underground boring place that's ugly, I decided to go back to the original tutorial area, specifically the area where you'd level up with the angel statue. I was surprised to see the statue was now speaking in riddles, and it was having me do some weird shit. I could throw eyes down holes so I could carry them to a big ominous statue so I could put the eyes back in, and this is evil, right? This is an evil thing that I'm doing. This is what a witless dark servant of a dark eldritch god does. Go forth, my son. Bury 10 serpents under a full moon, and I will reward thee most handsomely. Alright, well, the last time I did sinister deeds at the behest of a strange statue, the guy turned out to be Glykon, the serpent god, and he swallowed that 8th continent which now only I can remember used to exist. Are you sure you're not just a dark evil god co-opting the clothes of the righteous? Wait, Glykon got to it first. What the fuck, dude? I told him I was saving that continent for later. I mean, I was excited doing this quest. What was Link doing? Like, was he going to get eaten by the statue after restoring it? I sure hoped so. I'd save a lot of money on my monthly budget. Like, 10% of my money goes to Link Vor artwork. I was very excited. Anyway, so when you put the statue together, you get a heart container. And the guy's a merchant. You can buy bomb flowers from him. Do you remember that bit in The Witcher 3 where you brought a demon horse back to life? And you remember thinking, wow, I probably shouldn't do this, but I really want to see what happens. And it had ramifications and consequences and it did something. It was interesting. Imagine if the horse sold you weapon repair kits after. I have 2 problems with the way Tears of the Kingdom handles exploration. These problems are almost definitely just problems to me personally, but so is my alcoholism. That's a personal problem, and just because it's personal doesn't mean it isn't real. These problems are what I've decided to call, number 1, reward, number 2, decorum. Here's the reward problem explained. The formula for open world game exploration, broadly speaking, is this. You see something weird on the horizon, you go there, something weird happens, you are rewarded. When you see something on the horizon in Skyrim, it may be a prison that is flooded and is now filled with ghosts, a murder mystery, an ancestral tomb a man needs help clearing, a cabin with treasure hidden behind a bookcase. To say every location in Skyrim is absolutely fascinating is wrong. Sometimes it's a lone soldier who draws you into a long epic quest where you kill a dragon priest. Sometimes it's just 5 bandits and the goat they share. The point is, this formula changes. The something weird you see could be a tower or a tomb or a house or a cave. The something weird that happens may be some spooky ghosts, or a man impersonating a soldier, or a dead family, or a sword that causes nightmares, or some ominous notes, or a fake bookcase, and the reward you receive can be treasure or a sword or a dragon power or some armor. The rewards you receive and the story that unfolds and the locations in which it unfolds, it's as diverse as a Netflix show about British aristocrats. The reward depends on the story that you participated in, and can often add interesting wrinkles to the world itself. If you see something weird on the horizon in Tears of the Kingdom or Breath of the Wild, 99% of the time, it's a Korok seed. That's it. No murder mystery, no NPCs who are not what they seem, no fake bookcases. It is an item, which you use to expand your inventory slots. If you're lucky, you'll get a shrine, which contains a point you use to level health or stamina. You see a tree that's weird? Go to the tree. It's a Korok seed. You see a giant, ominous maze? Guess what's in it? A shrine. You know, the thing that can be found fucking everywhere, as they are bukkakied upon the fatherless face of this game's map. Go ahead, call a cop for that sentence. No one will fucking help you. Tears of the Kingdom and Breath of the Wild have very few points of interest that are interesting. They're almost universally just upgrade material with no interesting stories attached to the material itself. The second problem I have is what I call Decorum, the Gate of All Nations, King Tut's Mask, Augustus of Prima Porta. I've always found myself fixating on ancient art, its cultural purpose, its aesthetic. I find it interesting how a civilization's aesthetic can inform our contemporary understanding of them. Ancient Egyptian art has a very creepy vibe. The death masks, the animal-headed gods, the organ jars, the, well, baby mummies.
Oh! Ew! Dude! What the fuck?
It's all very sinister. And there's a reason. Their burial rituals turned into monster movies, and why that stupid-ass mummy movie made no sense. And Rome. I mean, come on, listen, if you watch my videos, you know 2 things about me. I'm gay, and I'm racist. So of course I love classical antiquity. I love ancient art. It's incredible, and frankly the degree to which I enjoy an ancient civilization's aesthetic usually informs how interested I am in their actual history. I'm not reading a single one of Martin Luther's 95 Theses until he fixes his fucking hair. Holy shit. This is an Aztec death whistle. They would blow it to intimidate their enemies. This is what it sounded like. What type of civilization would make that? Trick question. The type that I would like to know a lot more about, because that's fucking scary. Anyway, in a game or movie or book, I love when thought is put into the artwork of ancient civilizations. The ubiquitous weirwoods of A Song of Ice and Fire, these silent faces, bleeding crimson sap, faces carved by the first men and the children of the forest that appear to always be watching. The dragon flame of Alduin's wall, the way it snakes through the entire carving, melting all the works of man beneath it. They look like they're being physically crushed by dragon flame, which is fitting because it depicts a time where men were enslaved by dragons. Holy shit! Holy shit! The statues in From Software games. You gotta be fucking kidding me, these statues. The knights cutting their throat upon their own swords, the primordial serpent statues. There's not a single statue or carving or ceiling or floor in a From Software game that does not whisper a dark, sinister, and rich history. Now, as you can tell by the tone of my voice, I was rock hard in the intro to Tears of the Kingdom. Not because of that blonde bitch whose name I can't remember, nor the lithe, twinky frame of Zelda, but because that mural is awesome. The depiction of a battle is particularly cool. Like the very ground upon which the enemy walks is like corrupted by their presence, or they need the corruption to exist, maybe? The thought was clearly put into it. And the sinister music and tone, oh man, I've never had a game grab me from the very beginning like this. This is all you get. It's all you get. From this point forward, every ancient technology you interact with looks like some shit from Fisher-Price. It's totally devoid of any interesting carvings, and bathed in a lime green glow. What do you get about the civilization that made this? What did they do? What were they like? Any civilization that would make shit that looks this goofy deserves to not exist anymore. It's like whenever you consider the grand works of American civilization. When they see all of our ugly garbage, future archaeologists are gonna be so very unimpressed. Cornelius, I have unearthed another ancient American relic. Ah, great work, Elijah. Tell me, was it a parking lot or Walmart? Neither. It was, oh, bless this day, Cornelius. It was a Kmart. Great Scott! This is an incredible find. It is said that devotees of Kmart's K-cult had a secretive religious ritual where they would be bathed in a blue light and receive incredible gifts from their god. So much of this game takes place in ancient shrines and buried cities untouched for millennia, but none of it feels serious or foreboding or interesting. It doesn't hint at dark times, nor a beautiful golden age, nor anything, period. It's just so lame. The vehicle parts, which are ancient technology, are incredibly fun to play with, but they're spit out of a fucking slot machine. Alright, so in Skyrim, when you collect a word from a dragon wall, it feels like you've just taken part in some epic and ancient ritual. The massive stone, the mysterious carvings made from hands that don't appear human, the epic chant in a language you don't know. It's sick. There's decorum, there's fanfare, there's mystery. Zelda's got all that stuff when you pull the Master Sword at least, but the lack of it everywhere else lets the game down more than one would think on the surface. The first Halo game came out over 20 years ago. People still make video essays about how much they love Forerunner architecture. And to use a real-life example, ancient Egyptian cultural practices, architecture, and aesthetics were so goddamn spooky and mysterious and fascinating, it's inspired like 8 million movies, as well as all sorts of weird mummy parties in England way back in the day. They ate the mummies. It was very gross. Zelda's Zonai civilization is so boring, it cannot inspire me to just walk into these goddamn shrines for any reason beyond getting more upgrade material. The story of this game revolves around uncovering the history of the Zonai civilization, how it ties into Zelda herself, and I don't care. The ancient mystery does not feel ancient nor mysterious. I do not want to know more about the Zonai. I do not care about the Zonai. They're furries. Their architecture is boring. They don't seem warlike, nor wise, nor religious, nor anything. They have the cultural footprint of a saltine cracker. You would think, considering how much time spent exploring is really just time spent finding these fucking shrines, the game would work harder to instill them with some sense of ancient intrigue. My fundamental problem with Zelda is that all I hear about is how great the exploration is, and how much there is to discover, but this is incorrect. There are not a lot of things to discover, there are 2 things to discover. You just discover them over and over again. Except for, the odd big scary dragon, or those goddamn Yiga clan guys who stop being surprising real goddamn fast. So now we're here, at the end of my gamer anger. And I want to clarify something. Tears of the Kingdom is better than Skyrim. Snow in Skyrim is snow. Snow in the new Zelda titles communicates that you need to dress warmly, take a warming elixir you gathered the ingredients for and cooked, and, of course, also you can slide down the snow. Snow in Zelda is a gameplay opportunity, both obstacle and boon, influencing player behavior and rewarding those who engaged with the game's systems. Snow in Skyrim is set dressing. Zelda has interlocking, seamless, imaginative systems which intrigue and delight the player. Skyrim has an alchemy system which you can break in 10 minutes flat, and whose greatest feature is how funny it is. Skyrim barely works. It sucks, but it does have one quality that no game since has managed to even get close to touching. I really, really want to know what's here. Skyrim has been so influential, it's sort of insane that no one talks about it. It was cited as a main influence for the new Zelda titles, as well as Elden Ring. I would place Skyrim as patient zero for the proliferation of the whole go anywhere, do anything, play any way you want game type that we've seen spread like cancer. Skyrim obviously did not prove that such a game was possible. Such a game had existed for quite some time. What Skyrim proved was that Call of Duty bros would buy that shit up en masse if you just make the RPG mechanics basic enough. But no one has touched that exploration for me. It still remains untouched for me, largely due to this emphasis not only on rewarding the player with materials, but imbuing those materials with a story. And of course, the effort taken to give the ancient places we explore a sense of intrigue and weight. The new Zelda titles are not empty wastelands. These are absolutely a step above the usual garbage that takes influence from Skyrim, because that garbage is usually from Ubisoft. The map in Tears of the Kingdom and Breath of the Wild, they are filled with stuff, but it's just rewards. You did the thing, player. Here's $1. Go buy yourself a nice inventory slot. Rewards removed from interesting stories. Rewards that do not inspire curiosity in the game itself and what more there is to uncover. Yahtzee Croshaw once said there are two types of games. Games that make you feel, and games that make you numb. Games that energize and excite and inspire the player with big ideas and emotional moments, and games that just dispense treats to keep you playing. Zelda is, despite appearances, the type of game that makes me numb. I find its exploration actively insulting. I do not explore in this game to satisfy my curiosity, I do it for upgrade materials. While playing the game, despite all the effort and polish and inventiveness on display, I just couldn't help but ask, do you not take pride in your exploration?